10 questions. All right. Let's act like this is hard. Oh wow, there's a new version of GNS3 out. No, not tonight. So, project name, lab 4, final. So, it's just first thing. Let's duplicate the topology. I need two switches, firewall, router. The cloud, I'm going to make my my PC. You don't have to do that. I'm just going to do it for giggles. Cloud. I'm going to select 3700 for router, VR1. Firewall, and 2 Ethernet switches. One, which we'll make inside, switch 2. This is going to be the DMZ. And rename this. I'm going to configure my cloud real quick, just for my, off of my wired connection. Localhost, local area connection. Again, that's not necessary per se. Now, R1 already comes with 2 Ethernet ports, so you don't have to add any modules. ASA, same deal. You don't have to add any modules, so I'm just going to start hooking everything up here. F0 is my outside. F1 is going to go to my ASA. E0 is going to be my outside of my ASA, E1 is going to be the inside, and E2 is going to be my DMZ. Okay, that's how I structured it. You don't necessarily have to structure it that way for yourself, but typically E0 or FE0 is outside, E1 or FE1 is inside, and then you start building DMZ. I'm just going to make some notes here so I can easily reference everything. So 204, 184.21. Slash what? 30.
And the next one.
Here?
Yeah, that one's 204 184 2128/30.
Okay. What's my DMZ?
DMZ public is 134.68.123.0/26.
And inside.
Inside is 10 0 0 0 24.
Perfect. Okay. Now, so I got 33, 34.
29 and 30.
29 and 30, yeah, I saw that. And dot one, right? Alright, cool. So, power these beasts on. And so I have a little bit more computing power. I'm running some VMs. I'm just going to shut them down real quick while everything kind of comes up. I never remember this command to save in my life, so that's why I have it somewhere I can look at it. Alright, and then I'm going to bring up the router and the ASA. For the ASA, I need to issue that mount command, which is whack mount, whack this 0, whack Lena. T is 0, Lena Yep. Now the problem is I might have to do it a couple times because I don't get all of my stuff on my interfaces. So what I'll do here is exit. Kill the session. Go back. I'll do it a second time. Shut it down. Back on. Again. There we go. All right, we're set there. So now that I have my topology built in about 10 minutes, I'm ready to start on question number 1, which is okay. So IP the routers, firewalls accordingly to the diagram. Make sure that you give them the proper host name. All right, easy enough. So what I'm going to do here is bring this up here so I can see. I can display my interfaces, so I know what's what. Turn that off in my ledger. So I'm going to start with the router. I'm going to go into interface 00, which is the outside interface. It's going to be 204.184.21.34. /30 mask. And I'm going to turn it on. Okay. And then the inside, which is interface F0/1. And see that again? Just have to hit this tab here. That's 00. That's 01. Right? Everybody got that button right here? 204.184.21.29. I'm getting a duplex mismatch there on the outside, so I can fix that relatively quickly just by going back to 00. You don't have to do that. It's not correct. This is so I don't get those warning messages all the time. So we're done with R1 for now. Move on to the firewall. Exactly the best thing to do. So, if I go into configuration mode here, I need to work on interface 0, Ethernet 0, int E0/0. Give it an IP address, 204.184.21.30. I have to name the interface. The name if command. It's going to be named outside. And I'll automatically set the security level to 0. And I have to bring it up as well. So no shut. Ethernet 1 is this inside interface. So if I go to int E0/1, give it an IP address of 10.0.0.1, 24-bit 7-up mask, 255.255.255.0. Name it inside. Name if inside. When I do that, it automatically sets the security level to 100. And no shut in. Now bring that interface up. And last but not least, I have one interface left, the DMZ, which is 0/2, and E0/2. Its IP address is going to be this 134.68.123.1. Now, /26 is, what's the subnet mask going to be for that? 192. 255.255.255.192. I'm going to name this interface DMZ. Now, it sets its security level to 0 by default, but I need to have the DMZ in between the outside and the inside. So I need to have it. So I'm just going to set it somewhere in between. So I'm going to set it for 50, which is fine. You can set it for 99. You can set it for 1. You can set it for anything in between. But I'm just going to set it for 50 in case I need to make another DMZ in between those two later on down the road. So I'm going to set the security level, security dash level, to 50. And then no shut the interface. And bring it up. There. Question 1 is done. Any questions on question 1? If you have questions on question 1, I would really be worried if the statement began. Okay. No routing protocols are used for this lab, so ensure that you have proper static routes in all devices. Ensure you have full 100% connectivity between the DMZ and inside networks. Now, that's a little bit of a tricky question. It's a little bit of a tricky question because in order for you to have full connectivity between the two, you got to do a couple of things. Of course, have to have the routing, but since there's nothing in between, that's going to occur naturally. You have to have static NAT between the DMZ and the inside. By default, a firewall will not allow you to ping between its inside-facing interfaces. It just won't. Okay? So you're going to have to write a. You would normally write an ACL. You'll have to write an ACL anyway, and attach it to the DMZ inbound, so that DMZ can come inbound to the inside. Alright, we'll get to that later though. We'll get to that later. All you need to know for now, for number 2, are the static routes on R1, static routes on the firewall, and the NAT statements for the firewall. And I forgot one thing on the firewall. That was its host name. Which is... Oh, I don't give it a host name. Why? Oh, FW-1. That's its host name, looks like. Okay. So how you give it a host name is host name. There, done.
So for the ACLs, so for every interface inbound, you would have to make an ACL to allow that traffic.
Yes, because for the inside network, it's on security level 100. It will not accept traffic from an interface lower than it. So it will not accept traffic from 0 or 50.
So we'd have to do 1 and 2 from the outside network in, just so it can
Right.
security.
Right. Okay, so for number 2, I'm going to do the, since I'm on the firewall, I'm going to do the static NAT real quick for the DMZ to the inside for the entire network. So it's going to be static DMZ, comma, inside. That's flipped. So we'll start with the inside, 10.0.0.0 space 10.0.0.0 net mask 255.255.255.0. Okay. And the same thing for the other net. On 34 dot 134.68.123.0. 134.68.123.0. Net mask. 255, that 255, that 255, that 1. Okay? That will allow the devices on the DMZ and the inside to see one another. Those two NAT statements. Those two NAT statements.
Was the last bound code you said 252?
192.
Oh, 192.
Okay. Now, the firewall needs to have one static route to the internet. Because it's connected to everything else. Connected and or NATed. So, to do that, use the route command. Route the interface that it's exiting, which is going to be the outside interface. Outside. The default network, which is 0.0.0.0. The default mask, which is 0.0.0.0. That tells it to match everything. And then the next hop, which is going to be the IP address of R1, 204.184.21.29.
That's the inside interface of R1, right?
Yeah. Yeah, right there.
Okay. Why are we, for the DMZ, why the static routes are both the same DMZ inside? Which means for each?
It's just the no. It's just the way that it translates. It's DMZs are really kludgy. This is kind of one of those little awkward bugs in firewall OS. Because it's usually higher number to lower number, with the exception of when you're doing 0. I'm sorry, it's lower number to higher number, with the exception when you're doing 0, when it's higher to lower to higher. So inside static, inside space, comma outside instead of it being opposite. It's one of those really weird rules that you just have to remember, okay? Because it does not have really a rhyme or reason or logic to it.
So this is only just so the DMZ gets recognized.
So that if I were to ping a 134 address from the inside network, it would see it and it would translate.
Okay.
Okay? And vice versa.
So it's just purely a DMZ issue.
Exactly. This is
Okay.
purely a DMZ issue. Okay, good. Next. So, next let's go to R1. Now in R1 we're going to have a couple of little tricky things here. Because, let's look at our topology. Alright? From R1, we of course need to have a default route to the internet. That's good. No problem. Now R1's connected to this network and he recognizes it, so I don't need a static route there. But it's not connected to the 134 network. It doesn't even see it, because it's on the other side of the firewall. So I need a static route to there. What about this? It's in network. Huh? Same. Think about this from a security standpoint. Now, I said full connectivity. Would you want to have a private space viewable by a public network? So this is, again, one of those little caveats. I don't want to advertise this network out there. If I need connectivity to something in here from the outside, I'm going to NAT it. And now give it connectivity. Okay? But again, if I'm going to do that, that's why I have the DMZ. So I can completely mask this network. So all I need to do, yeah.
The 134 DMZ and then 204, does it belong to outside public activity.
Correct. Correct.
Only the 10 something that should be hiding the.
That is correct. Absolutely. So I'm going to create a static route to this network, and I'm going to create a static route to the outside world, which is the default route, but I'm not going to create a static route to this 10 network. Now, I'm also going to be creating NAT statements here in the firewall for this. Okay? So I do have to do what they call is a one-for-one NAT on the firewall for each of these addresses. Okay, each of these addresses. Or I can do it again for the network. Either way will be just fine. I'm going to show you the prior, because I did the networks already from the inside of the DMZ. I'm going to do a one-for-one, so you see what it looks like on the firewall, or what we call a one-for-one NAT. Just so you can get the feel for it. But if you did it just the network, perfectly acceptable, you get full point. All right, so back here to the router. So let's do the default route first. IP route 0.0.0, all networks 0.0.0, all masks. Next hop, which is going to be 204.184.21.33. Okay? Because that's the next hop there in the cloud. That's my ISP, basically. Alright? Then I have to tell it to route to the 134 network. It's up here. Yeah. So IP route 134.68.123.0 255.255.255.192. My next hop is the firewall, 204.184.21.30. Right early, right often. Okay. So that's that.